You ever have that feeling, that sort of gut punch when something you really believed in, something you trusted, turns out to have this hidden side?
Oh, absolutely. Scandals, they really do. They shake things up, don't they?
Yeah, they force you to kind of re-examine everything you thought you knew about, well, about people, about institutions.
It's often painful, yeah, but maybe, necessary sometimes, reevaluating trust. And maybe sometimes those revelations are just long overdue.
And wow, few stories lately have thrown that into such sharp relief as the controversies around Joni Lamb and the Daystar television network.
Hmm.
So today, we're really going deep into this complex story. It's a real mix of faith, finances, and, well, fallen leaders. It's definitely troubled a lot of people.
Yeah, it has. And our mission here really is to try and pull out the crucial lessons, not just, what happens step by step, but why it matters.
Right.
Before we move further in the podcast, we will appreciate if you subscribe to the channel. Also, share your thoughts in the comment section.
Why it matters to you listening. How these specific events connect to bigger questions about, say, leadership, trust,
Yeah.
integrity, things that go way beyond just one ministry.
Exactly, because for a long time, Daystar was, well, it was huge, a beacon in Christian broadcasting.
It really was, reaching millions all over the world, right?
Yeah.
The place you'd go for inspiring sermons, music, talk shows.
They build this incredible reputation, a family-run ministry, Marcus and Joni Lamb right at the front.
Always projecting that image, strong Christian values, family unity. It looked like the picture of success in many ways.
It really did embody a certain ideal in Christian media, but, and this is what we're digging into today based on our sources, beneath that polished surface.
Yeah.
A very different story seems to have been simmering quietly for a while. Conflicting interests, choices piling up that eventually just cracked the whole facade wide open.
So how did that happen? How did this shining star start to fall into controversy? Our sources suggest the big shift, the real crystallizing moment, came after Marcus Lamb passed away.
When Joni Lamb stepped fully into that leadership role.
Yeah. And what happened next wasn't just carrying on the legacy. It felt more like an unraveling.
Yeah.
Pretty quickly, too.
The expectation was there, wasn't it? For her to just seamlessly continue. But the reality, it felt like an acceleration of controversies that were maybe already brewing.
It's interesting how the narrative changed so fast once she took the helm.
Yeah, it's like the spotlight got brighter, didn't it? Suddenly highlighting things that maybe weren't looked at so closely before.
It magnified existing pressures, it seems.
Yeah.
And that led straight into some really loud scandals.
Especially around the money.
Right, the finances. That seemed to hit right at the core. We started hearing about, well, significant financial scrutiny.
Reports began to surface detailing things like alleged use of donor money for, high-end personal homes?
And a private jet, yeah. Expenditures that just look really stark next to the appeals for donations for, global missions.
And these weren't just whispers. Sources pointed to specific discrepancies. How money meant for ministry was allegedly, diverted.
It really raised the question, didn't it? Were these funds actually serving the mission, or were they maybe fueling something else, personal ambitions?
Exactly. And it's not just the classic story of mismanaged funds, although that's part of it. What's interesting with Daystar, based on what we've seen, is how the structure itself.
Family-run structure.
Yeah, the family-run ministry thing. It was praised for unity, right? But maybe that inadvertently created blind spots.
Like where independent financial oversight might normally be.
Precisely. The kind of oversight you'd expect in larger nonprofits just seemed to vanish. And that potentially allowed, alleged lavish spending, questionable handling of donations, all while secrecy started to creep in where you'd expect total honesty.
Wow. But it wasn't just financial questions, was it? There was also this really intimate struggle happening, internal family conflicts.
Yeah, and that's where it gets really kind of heartbreaking because Daystar built so much on that family image.
So much. Our sources mention pretty significant leadership struggles with her own children, specifically reports of deep tension between Joni and her son, Jonathan Lamb.
And these weren't just quiet disagreements kept behind closed doors, apparently. No, the reports suggest these tensions escalated. Public disagreements even, over things like operational control, financial transparency.
Really?
Yeah, Jonathan Lamb reportedly tried to bring in stricter governance, more checks and balances.
So resistance from within the family itself.
Exactly. And that not only fractured that public image of unity, it also just made the questions about accountability even louder.
So the world saw.
Why?
A fractured family.
Mm.
A ministry fighting itself.
And leaders seemingly, more focused on control than on the gospel they were supposed to be spreading.
And really makes you scratch your head. Because the messages on Daystar were all about humility, love, unity.
Mm.
But then the reported reality behind the scenes, alleged excess, secrecy in finances, these really bitter public family fights. How do you even reconcile those two things?
You really can't easily. And if you connect this to the bigger picture, these controversies kind of became a harsh mirror for the whole faith community, didn't they? Well, that stark contradiction, the on-air message, humility, love, forgiveness, unity, versus the alleged off-air practices, excess, secrecy, conflict, feuds. It felt like more pride than humility, more division than love.
And you have to wonder what that does to the people watching, the people donating.
Absolutely. The impact, it ripples outwards, far beyond the network itself. People outside the faith, non-believers, they look at situations like this.
And what do they see?
Often they conclude Christianity is just hypocrisy. That's the danger. And sadly, that makes it so much harder for people genuinely searching for faith to trust the message. It builds this wall of skepticism.
Yeah, a real wall.
And what's fascinating, or maybe sobering, is that Daystar, Joni Lamb, they aren't the first to go down this path. Our sources point this out, too.
It's a familiar pattern.
Distressingly familiar. We've seen countless ministries rise and then fall. Not because the gospel failed, right? But because the human beings leading them lost sight of it somehow.
And is there a common thread, a recipe for that downfall?
It often seems to be that potent mix. Money, fame, influence, and especially unchecked power.
Unchecked power.
Yeah. It feels almost inevitable, doesn't it? When real, genuine accountability disappears. Scandal just seems to follow. It's like that critical missing ingredient.
Which brings up another point from the material about how the world perceives this.
Right. The idea that the world is watching us, reading us like a living Bible, as one source put it.
Right.
Even if someone never opens the actual Bible, they watch how Christians live, how we treat people, how we handle power, money.
And when they see scandals.
They see the opposite of what Jesus taught. That gap between what's preached and what's practiced, it becomes glaringly visible and deeply damaging.
So, okay, given all that context, what does Daystar's story really shine a light on for us? Let's talk about those three pillars you mentioned: accountability, honesty, and love.
Right. Starting with accountability, the big question hanging over all of this was, who ultimately was holding Joni Lamb accountable?
Yeah, who was?
That's the core issue, isn't it? When leadership, especially in a ministry handling public money, gets passed down like a family business.
Your checks and balances can just disappear.
Exactly. That essential system can easily go missing. And those reported tensions within the Lamb family, especially with Jonathan trying to push for more governance.
That was like a public symptom of the missing accountability.
A very public symptom, yeah. Our sources strongly suggest that without those robust, independent checks, the potential for things to go wrong, even for corruption, it just skyrockets. It becomes almost inevitable.
Okay, so accountability is number one. Then there's honesty.
And those questions about Daystar's finances, as we talked about, they lingered for years. It wasn't just the alleged spending.
It was also about how funds were being used, what information was being shared or not shared.
Precisely. And true honesty in this kind of context, it's not just telling the truth if someone corners you and asks. It's about living with such transparency that nobody needs to ask. It should be like a daily practice, an open book, especially when you're handling millions of dollars given by trusting donors.
That transparency, it's foundational for trust, isn't it?
Absolutely essential. And finally, that brings us to love.
Yeah.
True Christian love, the kind the Bible talks about. It isn't really about self, is it? It's not about building empires or chasing fame or clinging to power no matter what.
It's more about service, humility.
Fundamentally, yes. Serving others, humility, reflecting the heart of Christ. Yet many looking at the Daystar controversies felt they saw, well, more pride than humility, more division than love.
And when that love is missing.
It's fascinating, isn't it? Even the most polished sermons, the most inspiring music, it loses its power somehow. It just feels hollow.
That's a really powerful point. So these Daystar scandals, they're not just about specific leadership failures. They're more like warnings.
Yeah.
For all of us.
Resounding warnings, I'd say. They hammer home that crucial lesson. Preaching the gospel is one thing, but if you're not living it, it's hollow. And often really destructive.
And like it or not, the world holds Christians to that standard.
They always will. the
Yeah.
standard of Christ himself. As individuals, as communities of faith, we're called to be living examples of the message we share. Our actions speak
Right.
louder. Right?
Definitely. So the bigger story here, beyond just Daystar, it's really about the church itself.
It really is. It forces some critical questions on us, doesn't it? On you, listening.
Like what?
Like, will we take accountability seriously in our own churches, our own communities? Will we demand honesty, real transparency from leaders and from ourselves?
And will we show the world a love that's
Yeah.
real, humble, consistent?
Or will we just let more scandals happen, clouding the light of Christ? The choice ultimately feels like it's ours.
So as we wrap up this deep dive,
Mm.
what's the core takeaway?
I think it's remembering that Jesus is still the standard. Always. Leaders, they might fail. Ministries, they can fall apart. Scandals will definitely rise up and shake our faith.
But the gospel itself.
The gospel itself remains pure. It remains true, and it's our job, our responsibility as believers to reflect that truth in our lives, our actions, our words.
So accountability, honesty, love, they aren't just like optional extras.
Not at all. They're the absolute core of what it means to follow Christ.
So let's not just preach them, let's live them.
Exactly.
Which leads to a final thought for you to ponder. Given everything we've unpacked from Daystar's story, what's one concrete action? Something you think individuals or communities could take to really strengthen accountability, honesty, and genuine love? Whether it's in faith-based groups or just your own life, your own sphere of influence.
Yeah, how can those living examples shine brighter, especially in a world that seems to need it more than ever?
Something to definitely think about.
A good thought to carry with you.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We'll catch you next time.